Hey everybody, this is Okie Twister 66. Today we're going to do part 2 of our Honda Rebel 500 versus Indian Scout versus Harley Heritage Classic. So let's go take a ride on the Scout. Scout Bobber 20. Thanks for sticking around. So in this video we're going to talk a little bit about the Scout and our comparison to the Rebel 500 and the Harley Davidson Heritage Classic. So let's may have to go make a fuel stop. So hang tight. Let's go for a ride. Okay, so we spoke about the Rebel 500 in this previous video. You can check that out. There's a link for it down in the comments. So let's talk about the 2021 Indian Scout Bobber 20. This was actually my first bike. The Rebel 500 we got for the missus, who ultimately decided that she did not want to ride after all. So better to find out before anything crazy happens. So it's just not for everyone. It was not for her. So anyway, so the Scout Bobber 20, man, I really love this bike. I remember when I first got it, there were some people that said it's probably not the best choice for a beginner bike or for a first bike. I gotta tell you, I disagree completely. I really, I had no issues with it. To me, the most important thing when I bought my first bike was that I could flat foot the thing, and it wasn't too heavy that I just felt like I was always going to drop it. And the Scout fit that just fine, and it had, you know, some extra power that that the smaller bikes just don't have. So that's one of the main reasons. Plus, I just thought it was just a really cool bike, and so far it has turned out to be exactly that. I really love this bike. The only downside with this bike, in my view, at least for me personally, and these are always a personal type decision, but is this rear suspension travel. It is so limiting, and man, let me tell you, when you hit a bump, that sucker, it goes right up your spine, and it hurts. So yeah, I know there's better shocks out there. I've tinkered with the adjustments a little bit, but you know, it doesn't change the fact that it's just a very stiffly sprung machine. So keep that in mind if you're considering one of these. But hey, it doesn't make it unrideable. But what did make it unrideable was the factory seat. It was awful, and you can probably hear a little bit more about that in some of my other videos. So check those out. But the seat was absolutely horrible. So what I did was I did opt for an upgrade. I upgraded to the Corbin seat, and night and day difference. It took what used to be a maximum 30-40 minute ride up to several hours in comfort. So I do like the Corbin seat. So that's one thing that the Scout, it was lacking, this comfortable seat. Another thing I changed on the Scout when I first got it was the exhaust. The factory exhaust, like just about any of these, they're highly restrictive, and they just sound like crap. So sound like a sewing machine. So I didn't go with a full exhaust on this, and I don't regret that. What I went with is the Bassani slip-ons, and I love those things. They've got a great tone to them. They just run great with the bike. They look cool. So that's another thing I had to add to the bike after I bought it. You know, most people at some point in time when they buy one of these bikes, they do end up changing the exhaust. It is a little bit chilly today. The sun is out and then in, out and then in. So it is a little bit chilly today, but I layered up. I've got a t-shirt, sweatshirt, and then this riding jacket. It's plenty warm. I'm not going long distance or anything. I just felt like I need to get out of the house and to get some fresh air. So I figured, hey, this is a great time to do this review on the Scout. So comparing the Scout to the Rebel 500, obviously it's a little bigger. You know, it's a little over 500 pounds, where the Rebel 500 is in the 400 some odd pounds. So the Scout's a little heavier. It's a little longer, and it's got a bigger engine with more power. So, oh, I hate these bumps. So it's got more power, the Scout, and it's just a more finished, I guess, might be a good word, just a more finished product. It's got a few more features with the speedometer. You know, it's just a more, you know, well, you pay more for, you get what you pay for, so you pay more, you get a little bit more. And that's the case with the Scout versus the Rebel. The Rebel, however, I believe might be some of the advantages the Rebel has over the Scout. Obviously would be the price, and if you're looking at an entry-level bike, price is a big consideration for most people. So especially if you're not really sure if you want to, you know, do this long term, if you're just kind of testing the waters to see if it's right for you, then definitely the Honda Rebel 500 is a good choice. It's inexpensive, it's lightweight, it's easy, very nimble, it's very easy to ride. It's low to the ground, so you can flat foot it. It's great for beginners. It does not have crazy power, so you can ride it in confidence without letting it get completely out of control on you. So if you're looking for, you know, an entry-level bike that if you're a little bit smaller in stature and you're looking for an entry-level bike, do consider the Rebel 500. They're practically bulletproof from everything I've read on it. The one we had was just really well made. Just didn't have a lot of extras and doodads on it. Ours does not have the ABS brakes, so that could be a plus or minus. But they do make options with the ABS. The Scout, some have ABS, some don't. The Bobber 20 has the ABS. One thing I wish it did have that it does not would be cruise control. I know it's a Bobber, so before all you comments go crazy on me for that, I still like my creature comforts, and most people do. So I would have liked to have seen a cruise control option on the Scout Bobber 20. I don't know about the newer models, the 22s and the 23s that have all just come out. Don't know about those, if they've got that option on there. I haven't really looked at them. The handling with this bike is really amazing. It goes where you want it to go, if that makes any sense. It's really easy to handle. It's not too bad in parking lots. It's easy to find a space, obviously, because it's a motorcycle. But tight maneuvers and tight areas, not too much of a problem with this bike, for new riders. Now, for you veteran riders, you should have no issues at all. But the handling with this bike is great. So I love the suspension. Other than the rear suspension, it just jars the crap out of my back every time I hit a decent sized bump. But you hit a little one, and it feels like a speed bump. The brakes are really good on this bike. I have put them to their limit at least a couple of times, and total confidence, very predictable. I really like the brakes on this bike. The shifting is precise. You can actually hear it click into gear, but it's not a big clunk. It's just very smooth. Neutral was a little bit difficult to find in the beginning, but that seems to be, with me anyway, that seems to be the case with most motorcycles. It takes me a little while to be able to find that neutral. It's so difficult on some of them, but some of them just slides right in. But on this bike now, I have no issues finding neutral. It's very quick and easy. The bike is very user-friendly. Let's talk about mileage, gas mileage. Gas prices, they go up and down, Recently, we've had some pretty high gas prices. So it's been a major concern for a lot of people, whether they're on bikes or driving cars. It's a big deal. So this bike likes super unleaded, higher octane. I prefer no ethanol in my gas, so I always get the super with no ethanol. Yeah, it costs a little bit more, but in the end, this particular bike, I believe it's proper for it. Now, with the Rebel 500, you can just put regular unleaded, ethanol or no. But I did put regular unleaded in it, but I had no ethanol in the Rebel 500. So, and also the Rebel 500 got about, it got like 65, 70 miles to the gallon. And this bike probably gets about 45 to 50 maybe. Which brings me to the downside of one of the downsides of the Scout size is its fuel tank and its capacity. It's only like 3.3 gallons, I believe. I could be wrong. But it's about a little over 3 gallons. Range, you can see this is out kind of where I live. There's not many gas stations in this area, so it's about 6 or 7 miles at least to the closest gas station from my house anyway. So, and I do a lot of riding out on these remote roads. So when I get to 100 miles on my odometer, that's when I start looking for gas station. So right now you can see I'm at 83.1. I reset that thing. It's my trip meter. I reset that thing every time I fill up. So I get to about 100 miles, I start looking for gas. Of course, I always kind of know, hey, am I going for a long stint or a short stint, just running back and forth to work or whatever. So, but fuel mileage is, I'm not saying mileage necessarily, but duration. How many miles can I get out of a tank full, before I have to stop and refuel? I wish this bike had about a 4-gallon tank. I don't know what that would do to everything else with all the engineering, but anyway, 4-gallon tank would have been nice on this bike. So is it a good beginner bike? Absolutely yes. For me, fantastic beginner bike. Love it, still love it. Loved it the day I got it, still love it today. Rebel 500, also excellent choice. The main difference between the two, in my view, was the Rebel. Had I gotten the Rebel, my first bike, I would have outgrown that thing in just a few months. I would have been ready for, larger, more power, just a bigger bike. Scout, well, I ended up getting a bigger bike. I got a Harley Softail, but I kept the Scout because it's just a cool bike and I love it. And it's got enough power that I haven't outgrown it. I don't really need or want anything faster or more powerful. I do like the Harley Davidson, but it's a different bike. I love them both, but for different reasons. This bike is great for, I live about 10 miles away from work. So I like to ride this bike back and forth to work. It's cheaper on gas than my truck. And also it's just a heck of a lot of fun. So unless the weather is just really, really crappy, then given the choice, I'd prefer to ride one of my bikes to work. And a lot of times I choose the Scout for that. It just seems well suited for that. So I'm going to run up here and get some fuel, and we're just going to, and that bump right there is one of them that I was telling you about. That thing, oh my God. You hardly notice it in your car. When I'm on this thing, it's like, bam, right up my spine. So anyway, we're going to get some fuel. I hope you enjoyed this video for the comparison. We're going to do another one with the Harley Davidson Heritage Softail Classic. So look forward to that one. If you haven't seen it already, go back and take a look at the one I did on the Honda Rebel 500. Get a comparison. I know it's some apples and oranges, but hey, it's the bikes that I own, so naturally I'm going to compare them. Give you the pluses and minuses as I see them. So anyway, I hope you like this video. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Get me over some comments. And feel free to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and we'll keep you updated on all the stuff we got going on. So thanks again. This is OG Twister 66 signing off. Until next time, have fun, ride safe, 2 wheels down.